So much for joining us. Now, the Baa2 rating confirmation, what does it mean for South Africa?
Well, basically, Moody's believes that given our current situation, we aren't in a bad enough situation that it warrants downgrading us just yet. It sees a number of positive aspects in our economy and in our governmental situation that warrants us being maintained at our current rating.
Now, what about the negative outlook? What does that mean?
Well, that basically means that it sees a significant chance that we would have to have a downgrade coming through basically by the next announcement. It's not a probability, but it is a significant chance. So the negative outlook basically means that the next move is likely to be down, and there's a significant chance of that occurring. If it was stable, then the chance of that occurring would be quite low. But now that we are looking at a negative rating, that means that they do see a significant chance of a downgrade coming through.
Now, among diminishing problems shocking our economy was electricity supply, which is now seen as reliable. Any other factors contributing to this reassuring status?
Well, unfortunately, one of the things that does contribute to the reliable electricity supply is the fact that economic growth has not been great over the last little while. If we had been growing at 3 or 4%, as you hope to be growing, that would mean that, obviously supply would have to be going higher. But the fact that the economy is pretty much at a standstill at the moment, that means we're not having a very strong growth rate coming through, means that the demand for electricity is also not being pushed up as we would with a stronger economy. So that's one of the things benefiting us. Of course, as well, we've had some new management take over at Eskom, which seems to have a positive relationship with regards to the supply of electricity. There have been some noises made by some analysts, however, that they fear that one of the reasons that we have a stable electricity supply at the moment is similar to the situation we had in 2010 around the World Cup, in which there has been an incentive to make sure electricity supplies are basically stable and strong ahead of the local government elections, and that we might have a similar situation like in 2010 where there were stable supplies around the World Cup time, but afterwards we saw, due to a lack of maintenance and other issues, that we had a disruption supply. Hopefully that's not the case this time.
Now, Viv, just speaking of other analysts, you have some analysts saying the move was a marginal positive, noting that Moody's has been more upbeat on South Africa than on other credit ratings agencies. Is this correct?
Yeah, to a certain extent that is true. And the mood has improved. If you consider just how bad things were just after the replacement of the previous finance minister, or the previous finance minister rather, Mr. Nene, at that point in time, I think that's probably the low point in terms of just South Africa's credit rating was being viewed by the global markets. I think since then we've seen a number of moves with Pravin Gordhan doing his investment roadshow, as well as the fact that we've seen moves in the economy as well. I mean, we've gotten our business confidence numbers coming at the fourth consecutive positive month. Again, we're not as good as we were before the announcement in December, but we're still doing reasonably well. And I think there are some issues that are beyond our control that are also positive. I mean, for instance, the drought situation is hoped to be relieved in the near term. If that does occur, the agricultural sector, which is a significant part of our economy, would be benefiting from that as well.
Now, Viv, Moody's made no changes to South Africa's local or foreign currency country ceilings, which remain at A1 for local currency debt and deposits. Why is that the case?
Well, that basically does not refer to our credit rating. It refers more to the ability to transfer from our local currency into our foreign currency. So if we had, for instance, chances of more exchange controls coming in, so if an investor came to South Africa and put their money into South Africa and then they wanted to withdraw it, and it was difficult, or the chance of that occurring was not very good, then we'd likely see a downgrade coming through. But I think the policy situation in the country at the moment doesn't warrant any change in that. I mean, if you were a foreign investor wanting to invest in South Africa, I think there's been no change in our policy or into the situation where if you wanted to take that money out, convert it from our local rands into dollars, that there'd be an issue. Other parts of the world, you do see that kind of stuff happening, for instance, in places like Venezuela, etc., where it's difficult to convert your money into foreign currency, but it's not as a big deal in South Africa, and there's been no policy changes that would change that rating.
Now, looking forward to June, ratings agency Standard & Poor's is expected to review South Africa's credit rating. Could it come up with a different view to Moody's rating?
Most certainly could. The unfortunate fact is that our economy, despite what's been happening in government, really hasn't reflected any real upswing. Moody's is hoping that policy moves will be occurring that will justify, maintaining our rating, etc. But we haven't seen any kind of real uptick in our economy as yet. And we need to see our economy grow significantly faster than this currently. I mean, Moody's wants us to grow, expects us to grow basically the triple rate almost of what we are doing this year. So we need to have a real turnaround in our economy. The issue in South Africa is not so much the fact that we have currently a high debt situation. It's the fact that the trend in terms of government spending has been quite high, and secondly, more importantly, it has been the fact that our economy is not growing as fast as it should be. Should we have a 3 or 4% growth rate, much of the issues around our debt would disappear because the growth of the economy would mean that our revenues are growing as well, and that would justify, a higher rating. If the economy starts to turn around as Moody's expected to do, and hopefully it does, then I don't think there will be a change. But if we do see further weakness in the economy, then I think there is a justification for saying that we might be downgraded.
Now, Viv, what in your view on growth so far, which reforms need to be fast-tracked?
Well, this is a difficult situation. If you want to grow an economy faster, I mean, it's not just a case of, just doing a sweeping movement. There's a number of different things that has to be done. You need to have the infrastructure in place, as is being done with electricity. You need to have the policies in place in terms of assisting, for instance, small businesses and, export, etc. I mean, like the stuff you see in places like South Korea, in China and Singapore, where the government plays an active partnership role with business in order to increase growth, increase exports, etc. So there are a number of different factors, but I think what the next real situation is going to be is the fact that we've got to see a strength come through from the Treasury with regards to wage negotiations in the public sector. I think if you look at just how big the public sector is in terms of the payroll numbers as well as the growth in the payroll numbers, if we can see real confidence coming through in that the Treasury is going to maintain that at inflation or maybe below inflation, that the hiring in the public sector is not going to be the sole source of increased employment in the country, I think that's the great first step to do in order to increase our rating or at least maintain it.
Viv, thank you so much for joining us. We have to leave it there for now. That was Economist Viv Govender joining us via Skype.